Hello, everybody. Greetings to all. Welcome to the Snooker Hall podcast. I'm Dan Murren. There is a lot to talk about this week. There is the shootout, the Scottish Open, the German Masters qualifying, and a lot more to talk about. I can't do it all by myself, so I'm joined by a very special guest, Kellie Barker. Welcome to the Snooker Hall podcast.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Very well, very well. So, you like snooker?
Yeah, I take a passing interest.
Yeah. I know you've appeared on other podcasts before, but for those who don't know, how did you get involved with snooker and how deep does this passion run?
Well, when I was when I was a kid, I always used to go and stay with my nan and granddad in the school holidays, and they had the snooker on once, and because it was on telly, I just watched it with them, and I just liked it. And it was the 1991 Masters final, Hendry against Mark Ellis. So there was the big comeback by Hendry, and it was a big story. And because my nan was really into it, and she likes Hendry, so she was upset because he was losing behind. And so I wanted Hendry to win for her because I was really close to my nan. And then we never saw the session. I think maybe it was just late night highlights back in the day. So I never saw the evening. And then the very next day, my granddad had got the newspaper and there was a picture of Hendry lifting the trophy. And we couldn't believe it because he was so far behind. You know, it was just a formality that Mark Ellis was on. So I was quite captivated by that. And then the next school holiday was in 91. It was the World Championship time. So we'll watch quite a bit of it again at their house. And by that time, I was majorly into it. By the time I went back home to parents at the end of the holidays, I was like, oh, please, we must have the snooker final on. You know, we've got to watch it. And then from then, it was only free to air TV back then, so there wasn't as much as there is these days. But every tournament that was on, I think I just drove everyone mad to have the snooker on. and 33 years later, I'm still the same.
Still there, still want it on all the time. Yeah. You go to a lot of snooker events throughout the season.
Yeah,
right?
I go up to Sheffield every year for the whole time. Practically every session of that. And then 3 or 4 other events a year you know, depending on time of work and, you know, the finances. And if it's a nice city, we might say, oh, we'll go there for a few days. So most of the annual league goes on snooker. And so the main thing I feel like I go to work for is to save up for snooker times.
To feed your snooker addiction. Did you attend the shootout recently? Not.
I didn't. I last went to the shootout when it was in Watford a few years back. And I think I went for about 3 years in a row when it was in Blackpool and the days of it. But I haven't really been much in between.
What did you think of this year's edition?
You know what? I thought it was one of the most enjoyable years of it. There was a lot of close games that went down to the last minute or so. I think it was more drama than we used to. I mean, sometimes some of these frames, you know, they're 10 minutes, or if it is 8 minutes of safety, not all the frames are good, let's be honest. But this year, I really enjoyed it all the way through. I'm not one of these people who knock the shootout. I had some good times there, especially when it was in Blackpool. And I think once a year in the calendar, it's definitely got its place. And I think it was quite a nice time of the year to have it sort of near Christmas. It felt like it was Snooker's Christmas party almost.
That's not a bad way to look at it, actually, because after the UK Championship, prestigious event, a lot of history, a lot of, to quote Nick Metcalf, a lot of gravitas. Okay, the shootout is not at the same level, but I'm a big fan of it. I think it is something different, and I do like, for the most part, the atmosphere. What were your thoughts on? Well, the crowd and the audience has been pretty divisive. What are your thoughts on the
I
levels
think
of interaction?
I think you always get that minority who go a bit over the top with it. There were some chanting this year that wasn't, nice again. So, and you always do get that. I think, it is a drunken minority. I think they want the crowd participation because that's all part of it. Unfortunately, you always get a few people who don't know when to stop, I'm afraid. So although I would say I do still love the tournament and enjoy it, I would be as happy to sit with it on mute and just watch the snooker because I just think the crowd doesn't really do anything for me.
I thought some of the players, they weren't taking the event as seriously as maybe they could have. I thought it was telling that Neil Robertson turned up. Like, okay, he won the English Open, but he's not had a great season really. And I thought maybe he's just not in a position where he can afford to snub these points. It might only be a fraction of what he needs to get back in the top 16. But some of the players really just didn't take it seriously. I thought Mitchell Mann, especially, was the one who stood out for me. And Dave Hendon on commentary even said he actually needs to focus on the match here. And then I looked into it. Mitchell Mann got back onto the tour through Q School over the summer. So that's a pretty tough way to get back on tour. But it's nearly 3 years since he got beyond the first round of a ranking event on the main tour. And I thought he should be doing everything to try and win this, not wasting his precious shot seconds bantering with the crowd. I thought, you need to actually focus here because you're not in a position to lose in the first round. You need this. What were your thoughts on?
Yeah, I think it was a good thing that Neil Robertson turned up. I think his big aim, especially after missing out on the top 16 for the Masters, he'll be doing everything possible to be in 16th Sheffield. He won't want to go to qualifying again, missing out again. So that'll be the big thing for him. He could have won the 50 grand. It would have been a good chunk of points onto his rankings. So I completely get why he turned up. And a little bit of a shame he didn't go a bit deeper into it. I think a lot of players don't take it as seriously as perhaps they could. Unless you're going to go very deep, at least to the semi-finals. It doesn't really do much for your rankings, really. And it is perhaps that one event a year where you can let your hair down a bit and have a good laugh and a banter. I don't know. If you're well down the rankings, why not take it seriously? Spending your money to go there to probably pay a couple of hotel nights. Why not give it the very best shot? I know it's 10 minutes and you still could end up playing one shot and lose. But then go and have your drinks and be in the crowd and all that kind of thing. You can still be the hero, as it were, even if it's not on the table. But yeah, I think it was a nice mix this year of players having fun, but wanting to do really well. I thought great. He wouldn't have been to big crowds like that, but I thought he handled everything really well. He was really, wavy and getting involved with the crowd, but nothing too much that would take away from what he was trying to do on the table. So I thought he got it right. And he's one of the, most inexperienced players there. So good on him.
Well, he eventually fell. Tom Ford won his first ranking event. We've all heard about Tom's struggles on and off the table. Last year on the table, he wasn't actually too bad. I think he actually had quite a good season last year. But this season has been difficult, shall we say. Nothing to write home
Yeah.
about so far. And, okay, some bad news in his personal life recently. But this is not redemption, really. It's nice to see, because I think everyone likes Tom Ford. No one will have a bad word to say about him.
No, he's a really likeable guy. I think he does kind of wear his heart in his sleeve. And for how good he is, and like you say, he had a really, really good season last time out. But if it all just gone wrong this season, we know what, he lost his great friend Brian just a week or two before. But I think there was something written in the stars that he had to go ahead and play Shoot Out when he probably didn't feel like it. And like I say, he's kind of redeemed his season really because he only won 2 matches and ranking events leading up to the shootout. So to add 50 grand onto his ranking probably added a lot of confidence as well because he then went on to the quarterfinals to the Scottish Open the next week. So it just shows you so much of snooker is in the head. But yeah, hopefully he'll go on from it a decent second half of the season. It was only last season he was top 16, and he's dropped like a stone almost so far this time around. But hopefully back again now, and maybe gone away and had a good Christmas with his family, and then come back. I mean, he's got some qualifiers this week first, but hopefully a bit of a reset over Christmas, and then come back happy and think about what he's achieved and carry on for the second half of the season because he's a really, really, really good player. You don't reach the top 16 and do what he's done in the game without being talented. So hopefully he'll carry back on from him as the Tom Ford we know he is capable of being.
Yeah, and the fact that he followed it up with a decent run in Edinburgh, that's promising. That is promising, and I suppose even in terms of not just prize money, but the ranking points, having 50 grand, one that'll make for a very nice Christmas, of course, but it's, maybe just the pressure comes off. Maybe that's part of it.
I think so, yeah, it's exactly like it. But if you haven't survived, I mean, we all kind of, rankings-wise, you don't go to the shootout and think, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that for my rankings. I think it's all the benefits that you reach, that last 16 or quarterfinals. Maybe then you can start thinking about it. But you don't go to the shootout thinking, I've got to do this to save my rankings. The fact that he won the shootout, it's a fantastic bonus, no doubt about it. But I think the real one as well would be what he did in Scotland, a quarter final after only 2 match wins in all the other ranking events all season. I think that would give him the big confidence going into the second half of the season.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Because if you don't, although the calendar is jam-packed, if you don't make players series of events, in a way there isn't all that much to be going for after Christmas. So, and especially the German qualifiers this week, if you lose in that qualifier and you're not in the players series events, snooker's a bit thin on the ground in the second half of the season. So hopefully he'll get himself good again there and get into some of those events, especially the one in Hong Kong, top 32.
The Grand Prix.
I'm not sure he's getting himself into that at the moment.
It's a good question.
Well, I'm thinking he probably would have done, but he hasn't got much else beforehand. He probably has done with Scotland as well.
Yeah, and even if not, he's got to be close. If not,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think Matt Self was on the bubble. He was 32, but I don't know if you saw how he lost last night.
I think Matthew Selk burst last night, didn't he? So,
Oh
oh
dear.
my God. That was we'll come to that. We'll come to that. But yeah, okay. So he had a quarterfinal run in Edinburgh. What did you think of the Scottish Open?
I really enjoyed it actually. I've had a really bad cold last week and I was off work for 2.5 days. So I had time to just sit and watch it all properly without being rushed about. And I thought it was a really good week actually. I enjoyed it. The standard was up and down, I thought, throughout. I don't think it was maybe a tournament we'll remember in years to come. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought good signs of Mark Allen coming back to proper form until that semi-final loss. But the way he played all week to get to 5-2 up in the semis, I thought it was really good signs for him. I think he'll be asking himself a few questions how he managed to lose that match. But good signs, like I say. Wu User, the rise and rise of Wu User continues. Again, a bit disappointing how he played the final, but for his real breakthrough season, I think he's awesome, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him. And another Chinese winner in Lake Fan. I don't think any of us would have seen that coming at the start of the week, but he played really well, beat some really top players, and deserved it. I was really pleased to see him.
Yeah, he certainly didn't have an easy run.
He certainly did. No.
He beat Sean Murphy.
Ali Parker.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that. Stuart Bingham. He was the one who actually beat Tom Ford in the end, wasn't he?
And yes.
And Mark Allen, of course, yeah.
And Mark Allen. So
yeah.
he did it the hard way.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty tough run. And
I mean, a few years back, I knew a Lake Fan when he was a youngster and first on tour. I think I saw a match of his at a tournament I was at, and he looked really good. And I thought, oh, this kid could go far. Watch out for him. And I really rated him a few years back. I rated him the same as CJR. And I thought, oh, these two are going to be the future. But Steve broke through the crucible and Lake Fan fell off tour, and it's just taken him that bit longer to get to where he's got now. But out of the two of them, to say that he's the first one to win a ranking tournament, and he took a bit, and still only 21, so he's got the next couple of decades of showing us what he can do. I think the future's very bright for not just him, but Chinese snooker in general.
Yeah, there's a few names coming through. I'd say two young finalists, two 21-year-olds. Sijia Wee is 22, I want to say, or not that much older.
He's certainly no older than that, I don't think.
Yeah,
because he could have been the youngest ever world champion if he'd have done this at the Crucible.
Of course,
he was still 20 then, so
and he should have made the final.
I know.
Oh.
But
He'll
his time will come, I think.
It will.
His time will come. He's such a great young player already.
You mentioned Mark Allen there. So that's 2 semi-final defeats in ranking tournaments recently. I know he'd been at another semi-final, maybe the British Open, and he made the semis at the Champion of Champions. And I want to say there was a quarterfinal in there somewhere as well. He's got a bit of stick because he hasn't been winning tournaments, but 4 semi-finals and a quarterfinal in half a season, that's not bad. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. It's he's doing all right.
Most players on tour would take his season.
Yep.
Start hands off for it. Super consistent. I do have a question mark over this slower play when it comes to the crutch. And I know that we say, it worked for him for the last couple of years when he was winning all those tournaments. I just question why he needed to do it the other night. He was 5-2 up. He played super all week, playing quickly. I think at one point his average shot time was 15 seconds. So, there was not a hint of grinding it out inside. And then at 5-2, it's like flipped a switch and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna get myself over the line one way or the other now." That attacking flair that we know he's been using all week just went out the window somehow. I think he just tried to too careful and fall over the line when he should have been charging for it because he was playing so well.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just thought of people who you're on your way to victory. I don't want to quote David Brent, but if you're on the right path, just keep on walking. But the image that came to my mind first was Dick Dastardly. No, just go. You're winning. But no, you're too worried about. No, you're overthinking it. Just go. You'll win. And that was the image that came to my mind. I don't know if that's fair or not, but he's doing all right. He'll be in the Masters. Well, he's in Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't be surprised if he does well.
Like we say, he's had a super consistent season. He just hasn't turned it into a trophy yet. I'm sure he's another man that's coming soon. I would be very surprised. I'd be shocked if he goes to Sheffield without a trophy in the bag yet. I'm sure something else is coming because I don't think he's playing badly at all. He's just had a couple of defeats that might scar these last couple of semis in Edinburgh. But overall, with his game, I don't think there's too much to worry about. I think he's playing well. Hopefully he'll kick on. Who's to say the Masters won't be his?
You wouldn't bet against it.
Absolutely, yeah. And for all the talk of he's not won this and he's not won that, he was actually still only world number one a few months ago. So there can't be that much wrong with this game.
Yeah, you have to be consistent to be world number one, especially if you're not world champion.
I was going to say, to get to number one without having 500,000 in 1 month go on, he's been doing something right over the last couple of years.
Agreed.
Yeah, so just carry on as he's doing, I think.
Yeah. But there's that ambition in Mark, which okay, he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't think many can question his ambition and that ambition is a good thing. He knows how good he is. And even the way he's spoken about his career objectives, he would consider his career a failure or a disappointment if he doesn't become world champion at some point. And that's a good thing. People, it's arrogance, it's delusion. No, to have these dreams, to have this ambition, this drive, this is good for sport. This will push other players to better standards, push himself to better standards, and we, as fans, get a better product. I really can't see the problem with players wanting to be the best and being public about it. Kyron Wilson is the same. He's not shy that he wants to be the best.
I agree completely. I think Mark is fully aware of his ability, and I think if everybody's playing at their best, Mark would give everyone a really, really tough time. If everyone's at their very best, there isn't many better players out there than Mark Rowley. So I do believe he's well capable of winning a World Title. Whether he does go on to do it is another matter. As we always say, it only comes around once a year. And, most players in the world are going to go home from that tournament disappointed. He's got to keep just rolling the dice. And I think Judd Trump makes a good point when he says, arguably he should have maybe had the title on his CV by now. But, like he says, if he wins 5 other tournaments every year, he sees that as just as good. The consistency to be doing what he's doing. And I reckon it's different for Mark Allen because he hasn't done it much yet. And he wants it. He wants it once. But, if you're super good winning other big tournaments, I don't think there's too much wrong. Of course, Judd can say that because he has won it once. Mark still wants to climb Everest, as it were. But I think that drive will push him. I think next 2 or 3 years when he's going to be potentially in his absolute prime, I think he'll go strong, and I think he'll at least reach a final before it's done. Whether he wins it or not is another matter. But I do think in his very best form, not this slowing down game, in his best natural game, I still think he's as good as anybody. Give or take Judd and Rory at their best.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Mark Allen won the next 2 World Championships, I wouldn't be surprised because he's good.
And I saw something on Twitter which I thought was it's not mean, it was actually quite funny, and I get the humour in it. It was Mark Allen, the pistol, more like the slow loading sea cannon. And I thought, okay, I get it. But I think, who was it? It was Stephen Hallworth. I said to him, let's not forget, he won the shootout. You can't be slow and win the shootout. So maybe it is his natural game. And many have said that maybe it's the overthinking thing. Just play the way you feel, because clearly he's so capable. He's so frustrating to watch because he could be so entertaining. But some of his matches are, they're tough to watch sometimes. And he could be so much fun.
I agree. But yeah, don't we say similar about Jack Kozlowski? We wish he would put a bit of that game into his game.
Yeah. The two combined would be unstoppable, yeah.
Yeah, so we wish for one thing for one and one for another. But yeah, I think if everybody just plays their natural game, they're also so good. I think snooker's in a good place. It's got so many good players to watch at the moment. And when you think that Jack Kozlowski isn't currently top 16, when, arguably this, there aren't 16 more talented players in the world than Jack. I don't think.
I would agree. Yeah.
I just think whatever goes on in here during the match for Jack is what's stopping him winning the tournament. But because arguably, you look at someone like Kyron Wilson, he's not as talented as Jack Kozlowski. On paper, you'd have to say he's not naturally talented, but Kyron's made the most of every ounce of talent he's got and worked so hard over the years. I'm not saying Jack doesn't work hard, because I do think he practices well. But there's some inner steel in Kyron that's helped get him to the top, as well as the hard work and dedication that maybe Jack hasn't quite had yet. It's a bit funny that by now, because Jack is similar to what Judd used to be many years ago. All out attack, didn't really think of the safety side, which you have to have at some point in the frame. You thought, would Judd's success have made Jack think, wow, I'm as talented as he is. He's taken home all the trophies. Why aren't I in this? Why haven't I got some trophies to show for it yet? I do wonder why. Because if it was, they're such good friends. If I was as talented as one of my best friends, and we did the same job, but he was getting all the recognition and success and all everything, and I was a bit left behind, ultimately I would have to look at that friend and say, right, I'm as good as you. I'm going to work my way to doing what you've done. I do think he's tried. He's had a couple of coaches in the last few years. I think he's worked most recently with Lee Walker, or had a session or two with him. So I do believe there's drive and hunger there to still do very well. And we saw how he played against Mark Selby in the UK Championship. He got it in the bag that night. He played the kind of all-round game that we've all been wanting to see from him. But then later in the tournament, he sort of just forgets everything he can do and just falls flat again, which it's always such a shame. But I do live in hope that Jack will win the trophy one day.
I've been fairly critical of his mental toughness. I think he's been bullied in matches by his opponents, Gary Wilson and Mark Allen most notably. These are tough competitors. They know maybe you have to be a bit streetwise when you're in the trenches, especially in a tough, long format match. But Jack Lazowski said something, I think it was after listening to, it was only a day or two ago, Dave Hendon on the Snooker Scene podcast, and he said he didn't want to get involved in the Jack bashing. And that's fine. But it reminded me of something Jack said. I want to say it was earlier this year or maybe late last year. And maybe I'm paraphrasing slightly, but he said he is unbelievably happy. And I thought, well, that's kind of what everyone wants. And okay, we all find happiness in different forms, different ways. But if he's found happiness, then good. I suppose if he's happy with his life and what he's doing, and that bit doesn't genuinely matter to him, then I can only commend him. I can only tip my hat to him. If he's found something that he loves doing, he's paid well for it, he gets to travel the world, have fun. I don't think we can knock him too much. If he wins a couple of trophies, I'm sure he'll take it. But
I totally agree. He said something along the lines of "I'm too happy" or something like that. And when you look at his life, what's not to be happy about? He spends a hell of a lot of time in Dubai when he isn't the tournaments, which that suits in his life well. He's not winning tournaments, but he's probably picking up about 200 grand a season for as well as he is doing. He gets invited to the Macau tournament at Christmas every year. He's on everybody's list for these high-end exhibition events, and everybody wants him there. So, not just prize money in tournaments, he's living his best life. So who's to say that he should be doing this better, or would his life be complete with a ranking tournament? Yes, he would love it, I'm sure, but like he says, he's very happy. He's loving life. Maybe we're just all a little bit jealous because
maybe it's possible. Yeah, it has been known to happen.
Well, I mean, the life of Twitter people, their comments are often on the negative side. So, to say the least. So, I take everything online and just sort of don't take it too seriously. But Jack's one of my absolute favourite players to watch. So, although I would love him to do well, everybody's ambition in life is just to live fully as I suppose, and he seems to be doing that.
Yeah, true. And this, a ranking tournament, many people think would be the icing on the cake, the cherry on the cake. What would you say, icing or cherry?
Icing.
I think icing is better. Icing's better than cherry. Yeah, I don't like cherries. But you mentioned actually earlier that in terms of ranking events, the season is kind of front heavy for ranking tournaments. So remaining, we've got the Players Series, but apart from that, it's the World Open, German Masters, and the Welsh, if I'm not mistaken. So there aren't too many more opportunities to get it done this season. The first, well, at the moment, I think it's finishing tonight, is the German Masters qualifying. Have you seen much of this?
I've been watching it. I've always got it on. I haven't been in the office at work, but I was a bit busy to pay too close attention. It's been a great few days for Ken Doherty. He was 4-0 up on flights. Ollie got back to 4-all. Ken won the decider.
Yeah,
And then
class.
the next day he had to stop for a Jordan Brown comeback, but Ken won the decider again. So great couple of days for him to get back to the Tempodrome because it's at his stage of life and career, you don't know if you're going to get back to that great battles again. So two good solid wins on the trot, he'd be delighted. And I was watching the Riyadh this afternoon, and Ken's out there being a pundit. So he's had a very busy week straight from Sheffield to Riyadh for this.
I didn't actually see the tweet directly, but I saw somebody who reposted it or quoted it. And Ken said that he's delighted and he's really looking forward to Berlin in February. So I'm pretty sure the semi-finals are in February. The rest of it is in January. So looking forward to Berlin in February means that he thinks he's going to make the semi-finals at least.
It's good to be confident.
Absolutely. It's yeah. No, I'm heading down to Berlin, should I say, to the final of that one. Really, really looking forward to it. This will be my first time at the Tempodrome.
Oh, so it's. I feel like I've been to a lot of tournaments, and probably I feel like in a way there isn't too much of bucket list stuff to do, but the Tempodrome is one for me. I really want to go there for some reason. Yeah, maybe have a great time. Hope you're watching Ken.
Would that be a fairy tale? Ken's done everything there is to. I would like to see Ken at the final, actually. Ken's one of my favourite players, and even growing up, it was Ken Doherty and Stephen Hendry were my favourites. It would be nice to see Ken have another good run. An event like that as well.
Oh,
that would be good, yeah. That'd be good. Someone who won't be in Berlin is Matt Selt.
no.
I am reluctant to pile on here. I thought his behaviour after losing that decider, I thought he was out of line. I thought it was petulant, a little bit immature. Bad luck happens. I think maybe some of the pylon's been a bit harsh, calling for him to be banned, suspended, and fined. I thought it was a bit harsh. But yeah, I think he was out of line. The way he shouted and told the referee to shut up. It's what were your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you there. Of course, he was out of line. That isn't the behaviour of sort of a seasoned professional. And I know that tensions are high, emotions are high, and battle. But as someone who's also on the board, he should be setting a bit of an example, really. I just think it all got on top of him. We know he isn't the greatest. That he isn't the greatest one for hiding his emotions, good or bad. But yes, of course he was out of line last night. And I would hope that he's woken up today and thought, oh, what was I doing? I mean, it's not the first time he's behaved a little bit out of line. So I would hope that there's a bit of somebody, maybe somebody else on the board, or just a good friend somewhere who might say to him, come on, you're better than that. Because we don't want to be seeing this happen every time something goes wrong for him. Inevitably, he doesn't win. He isn't a tournament winner as such, certainly regular. He's going to have disappointments at the end of every tournament. But to go about how he did last night wasn't really on. And hopefully he'll see the error of his ways, turn things around. I mean, look at Robert Elkins a few years back with the episode
Oh
against
God,
Turkey,
yeah, in
and
Turkey, yeah,
only a few weeks later he was winning tournaments, and he'd redeemed himself in a
yeah,
massive way. So maybe Matt Sells can do something similar.
yeah. I think he can find Artemis, can find the referee. I'm sure if he offers an apology, we'll move on. I tweeted about it, and I felt sorry for Artemis because luck happens. It goes for you, it goes again. It swings and roundabouts. You take the rough with the smooth. But Artemis, he'd come through 2 deciding frames to qualify for the German Masters for the first time. Like, this is a big deal for a young man making his way in the sport. And his reaction afterwards, he couldn't even sort of be happy with himself. I tweeted that he had the look on his face of someone who just run over someone's dog, not someone who just accidentally fluked a red. And he shouldn't have felt that way. It kind of ruined his moment. I felt bad for the young man because, and he had to, referee was afterwards speaking with him, telling Matthew to calm down, but he shouldn't have to do that. Just go and be proud that you've come through a tight match against as you said, a seasoned professional. I feel bad for him more than anything.
Absolutely, and hopefully he's woken up today and feels really happy and proud of what he's achieved. Like you say, he's a young lad making his way over in another country. Good luck to him. I hope to see more of him in the future. I think, the rise of these young European players is a real good thing for snooker at the moment. There's a few of them out there. But I think Matthew Sells, he has to look at himself in the mirror. If he's got a good friend who would put an arm around his shoulder and say, come on, you're better than this. He's going to get to the end of his career if he isn't careful, and this is what people are for. So it's not a good thing. Like you say, I think the pile online gets a bit much. I don't think he does social media much anymore, does he?
I'm not sure.
Instagram. But yeah, take no notice of people online. But he let himself down, and I think that should be the big disappointment to him. He let himself down, and maybe he let the sport down a little bit. So no more of that, please. Grown.
Hopefully not. Yeah, but I said it was the behaviour, unacceptable behaviour for anyone more than 13 years old. I used to behave like that when I was, well, maybe when I was 36 or so. Yeah, but it's like Kevin the Teenager type thing. But I'm sure he'll live and learn. I'm sure he's sufficiently embarrassed this morning at the way he behaved, and you know what? Maybe that's the worst punishment of all. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You mentioned young prodigies from Europe. I saw another one, and every time I see him play, and I'll mention the name in a moment, every time I see him play, I wonder how he hasn't kicked on to another level yet. Because this young man's potting ability, especially some of the long pots, it's incredible. And I'm talking about the Belgian beast, Julien Leclerc. Some of the pots he comes out with, they're incredible. And if Wu Yiza did it, if Neil Robertson did it, we'd be raving. I saw him play against Jimmy White, and he outplayed Jimmy, like the great Jimmy White. Okay, Jimmy White's not peak Jimmy anymore, we know. But I don't know, there's something about Julien Leclerc which is top class, but hasn't manifested into a deep run at a tournament yet, bar that shootout final appearance. And I can't work out why, because he's good.
He's good. I'm a big fan of his, actually. Whenever he's on the Discovery Plus screen, I always make a beeline to want to watch his matches because he's good to watch. Like you say, there's a lot of talent there. It's a shame he hasn't done something a bit more at the moment. But the sport's so tough, and I believe this is his first it's his second year on tour, his first card, I believe.
I think he stayed on as the top 4 outside the 64 last season.
Oh, really? Oh, so
because it was him and Ben Mertens.
This is year 1 again.
I think so.
So I guess he's a good chance again. He's got 2 years under his belt then. You know, listen to push on. I mean, it doesn't happen straight away for a lot of players. They have to come and fall off again, come back again. Look at Late Fan last week. So, you know, I think that'll give what Payfan did last week. It will give a lot of these players good hope that, you know, keep plugging away, keep trying. Every dog can have its day eventually. I don't think Julian is too old, is he? I think he's early 20s. So he's got plenty of time on his side. He's got a great inspiration in Luca. His fellow countryman. So I think there's good things ahead for him if he sticks at it and works hard. Hopefully he's got a bright future because, you know, he's got a good, solid game that hopefully he'll only improve as the years go on because he's a good player now. He just hasn't quite broken through yet. I mean, that was a great story in the shootout a couple of years ago. I think that was only the first year of his first season on tour at the time. So to reach that final, I think he kind of hoped he would settle down after that, but it didn't quite happen in the regular tournaments. But like we say, he's still young, he's talented, you know, he just needs time and experience, and I do think he'll come good. So I'm not too worried about this year yet. It just takes some longer than others, I guess.
I just checked it out. He's 21.
21, so
he's a baby in snooker terms. Yeah. Well, he's not a baby in terms of size. One of the reasons I like him, because it's so rare to see someone. He's the Belgian beast for a reason, but Andres Petrov says he's a gentle giant. His
nickname is so apt for him.
It was I want to say it was at the Championship League late last season. The one where Joe O'Connor made the final. Was that this year or last year? It was Joe O'Connor versus Julien Leclerc. And Joe O'Connor, classy operator around the table, but he's not the biggest of blokes physically, shall we say. But seeing him next to Julien Leclerc,
I can just picture those two stood next to each other.
It was like the Peter Crouch, Jermaine Defoe strike force for England. It was just little and large. It's so that's always. But I think he's great fun to watch. And if I had to bet on him or Ben Mertens having a good run in the tournament, I'd bet on Julien Leclerc. Up to 2 at the moment, anyway. So
Benson, for what I think he does that. I think he's talented. Like a lot of these young players, they can pot until the times come in. They've not got a problem potting. It's the all-round game, which only comes with experience these days. So, but they are two I really like. I think they played each other in the World Qualifiers. Maybe last season or the season before. And that was one I really liked to watch because it's sort of rooting for both of them to do that. But 2 of these young players are from Europe again. Good things ahead for them. Hopefully, if they all do well enough, we'll actually get the European Masters back on one of those kind of tournaments.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to have it in Belgium. I was in Bruges earlier in the year. They have some of the WWS events there. There's got to be a place in Belgium somewhere. Brussels, it's a big city. Even take it back to one of if the funding is there, I don't see why they wouldn't have it.
Well, they have that when it's been in Belgium before. It's the Lotto Arena split, I think, when they
Okay.
tournament. It can only be down to sponsorship, surely. Because you'd have thought once Liverpool was world champion, that was the time to strike while the iron was hot.
Yep.
But it's not quite happened.
No.
But hopefully it'll be back one day.
I hope so. It'd be nice to have more, because we've lost the Riga Masters, we've lost the Gibraltar Open, we've lost the European Masters. Yeah, it's a shame. I know if we get more tournaments in China, but
the fan base in these territories is
yeah,
off the scale.
in Finland,
You go
fantastic.
I mean, Finland gets those exhibitions each year now, and they're absolutely huge arenas, and they're sold out from fantastic fans. So they deserve a bit more. It's just, it can only be down to money, I'm afraid. Because it's so, I mean, I would like to see the UK maybe have lose a tournament if it could go to one of these good European territories. Because I think we're very UK based, and these days we're getting back to being rather China based, which is good. Don't get me wrong. But are we a world sport yet? We're building up to it. We're getting there. But if we're only UK and China and a bit of Saudi there, we need more of you. We
Agreed.
need some of those tournaments back.
Maybe one day.
One day.
One day. One day. Do you have some time to go through some emails with me?
Oh, yes.
First email is from Brian McGovern. He emailed in after Michael Day and I spoke about the UK Championship. Brian says, "Hi Dan, was interesting to hear about talking to players straight after they lose. What are your thoughts on Mark Allen when he lost to Barry Hawkins? When he was asked about the table conditions, he said, no comment. What are your thoughts on that? Regards, Brian McGovern." Do you want to answer first, or shall I?
I'm happy to. What I would say is he was straight off the table after a very crushing defeat. He'd have been feeling at his lowest ebb at that point. So to go in with a question that he wouldn't be madly happy to talk about in the best of times, that really wasn't the time to ask. So unless he was gonna, I think if he'd have answered, his mouth might have run away with it at that point. So the grown-up Mark Allen was probably just best saying no comment rather than saying how bad things were, because he wouldn't have been in the mood. He wouldn't have been in the mood at that moment anyway. So no comment was probably as good as he could have got.
Yeah, because I know, others. Well, do you know what? Let's name the name. Kyron Wilson said he didn't want to drop anyone in it, but then he proceeded to immediately drop the table fedders in it, whatever it is. But I kind of respect the fact that Mark Allen was able to hold his. He kind of been happy bunny in that moment. Yeah, after a long match, frustrating. You're so close to making it through to a major final again, and you lose. I think he did well to hold his emotion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Like I say, I think he might have said things he shouldn't have said and got himself into trouble at that moment if he had spoken. If he'd have said what he really thought,
Yeah.
like I say, it was a crushing defeat. He would have been absolutely gutted. Admittedly, he wouldn't have been happy with the table had he even won. But a bad table on top of the bad loss wouldn't have made for good words. So saying no comment was as good as, it was probably the grown-up thing to do with that.
The best at that was always Jose Mourinho. What would you like to say about the referee? Well, I cannot speak about the referee's poor performance because I will get in trouble, or something like this. It's well, he's a referee with great potential, and he'll not so subtly mask his mask. Well, he won't mask his feelings at all, but he'll find a way to say it without getting in trouble. Maybe we need players to manipulate the words, the language they use, to have a dig, but without getting in trouble. There's got to be a loophole in there somewhere.
It's,
That would
it's
be
one
fun.
thing. It's one thing I don't like, to be honest. All this, the interviews are so sanitised at times. You know, they've almost got this generic answer these days, especially, say football and sports. I think one of the pieces of snooker is that most of the time they can speak freely, say what they think. But I do think I don't like to hear this. Oh, they've been warned not to say this or not to criticise that. If something's wrong, I do think they should have the freedom to say it. They're playing for the livelihoods at the end of the day, playing for a hell of a lot of money. I don't really think that the table conditions are because of bad workmanship. I think bad tables come along when it's rained outside for days and heavy conditions come from it. Because some venues you go to and it's always good conditions. I was at York for the first weekend and it did nothing but rain morning and night for practically the whole time I was there. So that makes for heavy conditions, and sort of by day 3 and day 4, the tables were heavy, play wasn't good, and I don't think it's bad workmanship by the World Snooker people. So I don't think it is quite right to criticise them. I just think a lot of the time it's the players' frustration. They come off the table, they can say the ones playing, they can feel that the ref's move, rolled off, or the slate wasn't, something's wrong. But I think most of the time it's down to the venue. We've had situations before where the door's been left open, so it's let all the cold in, and that's made the table go heavy overnight. Something like that is, unprofessional and shouldn't happen. But these things do happen occasionally. But for them to be happening in a professional sport where you're playing for hundreds of thousands of pounds and your livelihood in a professional sport, some of these things shouldn't happen. But when it's down to bad weather and things like that, what can you do? The only thing I would say is, back when I was young, first into snooker, maybe 20, 25, 30 years ago, I don't ever remember there being talk of bad conditions and bad tables. Was it not talked about, or was conditions always good back then?
I don't remember that kind of chat. It seems to have become a lot more common over the past few years.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'd not thought about that. It's not something I remember. They used to get a few more kicks, but that's not down to conditions, I would assume. I'm not sure. I'm not a physicist, but
kicks were the only bad thing back then.
Yeah.
It seems. But now it's conditions that haven't told. So yeah, I don't know what else to add to that. But back to the question, for Mark Allen, no comment was the fair comment, probably. Although we want to hear more, we want to hear them say what they really think.
It's true. We want to see honesty. We want to see how the players really feel. But I suppose if you ask a leading question straight after just come off a pretty crushing defeat, it's almost like baiting almost. So in that sense, I think he did really well to to not go off on one and let out his frustration.
Absolutely.
So
I know
fair play to him.
when I'm at work, and if I'm in a bad mood about something work-wise, and somebody comes and asks me a question about the computer or something that isn't working correctly, maybe I should say no comment. But you know, we all have that frustration at times, and I think going back to Matt South, he was just so frustrated with how things were going. He didn't have to just sit and breathe. It just came out,
Yeah.
you know.
Raw emotion.
Yeah, and that's what makes snooker, the human game. We like to see that emotion, and we like to hear it in their voices, not to Matt Salt's extent, last that, but Mark. Going back to the question, Mark Allen, he's a good bloke, and I think there's only so much you can say and can't say. That they've been around. He's been around and had fines in the past, so he probably is more careful these days.
Yeah.
He's learned to be more careful because of the fines he's on.
Yeah, it's just throwing money away, and nothing will change if he does moan. So you might as well just keep the money, really. Yeah. Next email is from Ian Donaldson. I don't know if he's a relation of Scott, but Ian says, "Hello, Dan and the snooker community. I attended the UK Championship, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts on the event. I was lucky enough to see Michael Holt versus Jack Jones, and it was a brilliant day of snooker. Drama to the end, and great scenes for Holty. It's not a dream story, but it's hard to believe he's been around for so long and not achieved more. The main point I wanted to make, though, was about Judd Trump. Another big title on his CV, a very impressive run throughout his week in York, taking down some big names along the way. He is the player of the season so far, and it's not really up for reasonable debate. What do you think he has to do to silence those critics who still say he just hoovers up the minor trophies?" I suppose it's just win more big tournaments, really, isn't it? But he's one of the favourites for the Masters, clearly.
Oh, absolutely. After shutting up the critics, I don't think he has anything to prove to anyone anymore. He won, was it 5 events last season? 2 of them were home nations, a couple of Chinese ones. He always does well over there.
Mm-hmm.
What isn't big enough about them? What isn't good enough? Like he said in a recent interview, after he won the UK Championship this year, he was in the Eurosport studio with the trophy. And he made a really, really good point. He said, those other tournaments, it's the same players in them, still trying as hard. What makes okay, the UK Championship's got more gravitas, for want of a better word. Of course it has. But, when Neil Robertson came back to form this season and won the English Open, everyone was saying, oh, well done, it's good to see him back winning the trophy. Is the English Open good enough for Neil Robertson then? But if Judd wins it, so it's only a trophy.
Double standards,
is that just the level Judd's at these days? But if you look at what he's won this season, Judd's won the 3 biggest prize money events.
Yes.
The 3, Saudi, the UK, and Shanghai. They were the 3 biggest money events so far this season. So people can't be throwing that season at him this season. He's hoovering up the big ones.
Yeah. It's the opposite. Yeah.
And he's won over £1 million already. So he's doing something right.
Playing snooker. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible. So yeah, I don't think he'd give a monkey's what people think or what they want to criticise. I think if Judd won the next 3 world titles, there would honestly be people out there who would still criticise, oh, he still hasn't done this. He's not wrong. He hasn't won 7. There would always be people out there who want to say something. I think Judd's he's in the prime of his life and the prime of his career. Just keep doing what he's doing and enjoying himself. Those keyboard warriors can sit there in their mother's spare room and writing what they want if it makes them feel happy. Let George go and carry on living his best life, with mopping the trophies.
In the past, I was critical of Judd, but over the past 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, especially over the last 3, he has just ramped it up to. And I would even say after that season in 2019 where he won 5 titles, I would say even after that, he has taken his game to another level now. He is so hard to beat. And I think the perfect example of that was the deciding frame in Riyadh against Mark Williams. But that's the headline moment. It's, if he's in the balls, it's a best of 7 match, second round of the Northern Ireland Open, and he's in the balls, he ain't missing. He does the easy stuff so well, but he's now taken that hard granite approach where if he needs to play rough, if he needs to play dirty, if he needs to win ugly, that's the term, the football term anyway. If he needs to win ugly, he can do that as well. I know the last time he won the Masters, which was early 23,
Right.
I'm not going to say he had no right to win it, because he did, but he should not have won that event. I think it was at least...
He wasn't his attacking nor his super best at that tournament. He's played better in other tournaments and not ended up winning the trophy. I think one thing with Jordan in the last few years that's really added to his game, we still think of him as this amazing pattern North shooter in our way.
He's so much more.
His safety game is up there with anybody who's ever played now, I think.
Yep.
You know, you have to scrape him off the table. It used to be that if Judd was having a bad day, you could beat him. He was beatable. But now, he's got such a good all-round game that even if the long pots aren't quite going, you know, he does have another way to win now, which didn't really used to be the case. That's why it's become the success story he has. That's attacking-wise, Judd and Jack are probably the same level, arguably. But Judd has just added the B game and the C game nowadays, which makes him nigh on unbeatable. Not many players. You have to play out your boots to beat him these days. I think that's the difference. I mean, we had Kyle has beaten him in the 2 finals this season. And Kyle plays so well, especially Belfast. And you know, that they were Kyle's games. But, you know, nearly every tournament, Judd's there or thereabouts. So 5 finals this season. It's quite incredible.
Crazy.
The consistency and the drive and the will to do it, to keep going. I certainly wouldn't I won't put anything past him for the Masters. I think he'll go to that as favourite.
I agree, yeah.
It's one of the venues he really likes. He loves the crowd at Kellie. And, you know, I think in most people's books he'd start that tournament as the biggest favourite.
He will. Okay, Ronnie will be... Well, we don't know what Ronnie will do because he's not really played. We haven't really seen much of him, so it's hard to gauge if he's in good form or not. The other big boys will say, Kyron Wilson, okay, he's tough to beat. But even though he's had a great season so far, Judd's had a better one. Judd has to be the favourite.
Yeah. I mean, there was still some debates as who was doing better at the moment because Kyron beat Judd in the 2 finals. But I think Judd put any debate to rest for the moment. 21 in the UK. Played so well. And he beat Kyron in the semis. and he really showed Kyron his boss. I think that was the battle of, who's player of the season so far,
yeah.
that match. And, Judd came running with flying colours, really. That's not to say Kyron won't have good days again, because I still think if Judd's by far the best player in the world, I do think Kyron is arguably the second best player in the world at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
I think winning the world title, I think before he won the world, he had such a poor season that I don't think anybody had Kyron to be world champion last season. But I think it's giving him a shot in the arm and that confidence now, because only once before this season had Kyron ever won 2 events in a season before. But now Kyron is like he's capable and one of the very, very favourites to win everything he plays at, which never used to be the case really. I always used to feel that Kyron, had he got 3 or 4 wins on the trot in against the very, very elite, whereas now he definitely has. And it's all about confidence. Sheffield has done the power of good for him. That part.
He looks more confident. I've said it a few times. He looks more confident around the table, and his break building has gone to a new level. He's trying new shots. I think he's being a bit more adventurous with just individual shots, not even the entire break. Just if he needs to break up a little cluster of 3 reds, he'll try it, whereas maybe before he would be a little bit more cautious. And I'm going to say it, this might annoy some people, but I think he's become more Ronnie O'Sullivan-like in terms of his break building. He doesn't look like missing when he's in the balls, but it's those little shots that Ronnie plays that just that has set him apart for so long on the table. And I think Kyron's starting to incorporate that now. And he's taken his game to a new level, but so has Judd. It's
Yeah.
I think a key, if anyone did debate that Judd is not the player of the season, I would ask a simple question: who would be more happy to switch their season for the other person's season? Judd would not switch his season for Kyron's, but Kyron probably would switch his for Judd's. And
Good
I think that for me is a well, thank you. Yeah, I'll make some good points, but I think that is a good one though, and that's Judd has won the titles which I don't say they mean more, but he's won the big money events, those with that little bit more. And I'm going to say it again, gravitas.
I think before Christmas, you'd look at the calendar, and if you could pick which ones you win, if you could win 2, nothing wrong with Kyron's wins at all. Any trophies are fantastic, and Kyron will be well happy with what he's done so far. But if you could pick 2 trophies that you were going to win before Christmas, it would have been Saudi and the UK Championship. They are the big 2 financially, and even World Snooker Out in Saudi Arabia, which it's another matter. But in any case, it's 500 grand. Who wouldn't put that on the top of it?
It's major money, yeah.
Absolutely. And then Shanghai as well, which is such a great start to the season. Over 200 grand for that one as well. Big invitational. And so yeah, they are the 3 big ones of the season. So yeah, Judd's going into. I mean, it's 250 for Riyadh this few days as well, whatever we think of the tournament.
Yeah, for a few days' work.
Yeah, 3 days. And some of them will only be playing for 2 days because
yeah, true.
Judd and Ronnie, they don't play till tomorrow. Mark Williams, Mark Allen, Selby. So yeah, some of them have only got to play for 2 days, win 3 matches, quarter of an hour.
Nice.
And if we could just pop the golden ball as well.
Just $1 million. Yeah.
A little bit more.
a nice little bonus. Yeah. It's well, actually, that's a pretty good segue, because speaking of prize money, Simon Bernardini has got in touch. I listened to your interview with Elliot Slesser and found myself more than mildly confused by his opinions on the Crucible. How can a player like that moan about the hand he has been dealt by the sport? He is earning so much more than most snooker fans will ever earn, and yet he is moaning that the winner of the World Championship only gets 300-something grand after tax. The entitlement of some of these players really winds me up. They have a cushy job, decent earning potential, and they get to travel the world, yet they still find the need to moan. Nothing personal against Elliot, but maybe a bit more humility from a lot of these snooker players wouldn't go amiss. In any case, keep up the good work and happy Christmas, Simon. This has been picked up by a few outlets. It got a lot of traction on X. And I do think Elliot's words were taken slightly out of context, as the press does, of course. I think a few people did cover it quite well. I thought David Caulfield from Snooker HQ did a good job of this, actually. And, well, this appeared in The Sun as well, or The Sun Online. And the journalist said that Elliot Slesser believes the World Championship should move from the Crucible. Elliot Slesser said nothing of the sort. Elliot Slesser said that if it stays at the Crucible, he would like to see prize money go up. Who wouldn't? But if there were a bigger offer on the table, that they should consider it, and that he thinks eventually it will move from the Crucible. He did not say that it should. So they've taken his words a bit out of context there. In terms of being entitled, Simon, I disagree if you're listening. I don't think he's entitled. Okay, he wants to earn more money. If you listen to the episode, he's got a wife, he's got a young daughter who he's working to provide for. But something that has gone unnoticed from that episode, and I'm going to speak passionately about this, is he clearly has not forgotten where he's come from. He speaks about, he knows the situation he's in. He does okay. He has to sit on a plane to go to China to play snooker. What a tough life. And he's spoken about some of the people he grew up with. They don't have it so cushy. But Elliot went to the effort of collecting shirts from other players at the Snooker Shoot Out to raise money. And that's been on X as well, for children up in the northeast of England. And if I'm going to speak frankly, maybe some of these children might not actually be with us next Christmas. And he's doing something to maybe make their Christmas just that little bit brighter. And he's making all the effort. I can't see how we're knocking this man. He's doing something good. Okay, he made a few comments. He wants to earn a bit more money for himself. Who doesn't? Simon, I have to disagree. In terms of entitlement, no, I disagree with that. He's not entitled. He's doing his bit.
Yeah, it's lovely to see what he's done with those shootout shirts recently. And his heart's absolutely in the right place for the right things. I think every player would like to see the prize money go up, whether it stays at the Crucible or not. It has been 500k to the winner for quite some years now, I think, and maybe it is due to go a bit. It'll be very interesting actually to see who we get as a new sponsor, because it won't be Kazoo next.
No.
So we'll see who we get. It would be good to get a real blue chip sponsor. So we'll see how that pans out and see. I just wonder, with all the other prize money seem to be going up here, there, and everywhere else this season, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of announcement that there will when it goes up when it gets nearer to. And even if the 500 grand didn't go up this season, maybe it could go up a bit lower down there, because it's been 20 grand for the first round now for a long time, 30 for the second round. They're great sums of money to have in your bank account, but we haven't really seen prize money progress for the Worlds for a good few years now, so maybe that is due, overdue, and hopefully it will happen.
Hopefully. hopefully. I think, yeah, and one of the points Elliot made was that for qualifying for the Crucible, he's qualified twice, but the money hasn't gone up for first round qualification in 8 years now. And his words were, that's not a growing sport. And I think with the introduction of this 500 grand event in Saudi Arabia, it's equal to the World Championship for the winner anyway. Maybe one of the announcements, maybe after the Masters or before the final of the Masters, that the World Championship, the winner's pot is going up to 600 grand or 750 or something like that. I can't imagine it would.
I've got a feeling about here because I think World Snooker still wants the World Championship to be the biggest prize. I know we've got Saudi, everyone's happy with that now, 500 for the winner, which is colossal. But the World Championship should still always be the biggest prize. So hopefully you'll get that announcement. Like I say, there is prize money. There's money flying about here, there, and everywhere. I believe that the first prize for the Masters this year will be 350,000.
I think you're right.
Which is incredible, really. And I assume that the lower rounds will be more than they have been as well. So, it's definitely the time to be in that top 16.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can, going back to Neil Robertson, if you can get back in, it's going to be such a scrap for those lowest top 16 places as we head towards Sheffield time. And getting into them player championship events, they'll be all different because, you're only guaranteed some of them straight away for your ranking. And so whoever misses, if you finish 33rd, it's going to be really hard to take. If you finish 17th and not quite get into the next one, it's going to be tough. So yeah, I think that whoever finishes 17th and doesn't make it automatically for Sheffield, they are not going to be happy bunnies.
Yeah, and we saw it with Neil Robertson last season, lost in qualification. Everyone thought he breezed through it. I thought he'd breeze through, but
I did. Honestly, I wasn't even thinking of if he'll qualify. I was thinking, I can't wait to see who he gets in the first round.
Exactly,
I hope I've got that match. But yeah, I mean, Jamie Jones did very, very well. To be fair, he played well. But yeah, I didn't consider that he couldn't qualify. Yeah, I just had him as an automatic. Didn't think twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows it's dog out there, and them qualifiers is so gripping to watch because that place at the Crucible is it's everything. That judgment day, or the couple of days, they're some of the best days of the season because the prize is so big. A place at the Crucible or the season ends in the cubicles. It's either elation or doom. And always look forward to those days. But hopefully, from Neil Robertson's point of view, you can do enough in the second half of the season to get into the 16 because he won't want to be going through qualifying again.
All it will take is one good run at one of the events.
Absolutely,
and he's kind of got enough in the bank to be close, and that will just push him into it.
Definitely. I mean, I did think the English Open was starting for the rest of the season, but he's not done terribly well since then, has he?
No, not really.
Hopefully. I mean, we've got the championship week straight after Christmas, and I think he'd be maybe well advised to enter one of the earlier groups and get the good match practice under his belt, ready for the bigger event.
Well, even if it's the non-ranking event, it's match sharpness against other good players who are competing, and they want to get sharper too. It's not the most prestigious tournament, but in terms of what it gives you, absolutely. I think it is kind of underrated. Players play it for a reason. It's playing against other top professionals. It will keep you sharp. It's So I wouldn't be surprised to see him enter it and do well. But there's always a couple of shocks in the Championship League. Someone will always win their group, but that's good. It's new faces, it's new players to play against, and yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to it. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's worth having on the calendar.
Oh, definitely. I always enjoy watching it as well. Best of fives. The 7-man groups, you see plenty of snooker all day long. What's not to like?
More snooker, I'll take it. Final email is from Sean. No introduction from Sean, actually. I'm enjoying the conversations you've had with guests on the Snooker Hall podcast recently. Standouts were Ryan Thomason, Fergal O'Brien, but Paul Collier was particularly special. He gave us a peek behind the curtain, the kind of stuff we don't hear about that much. Paul's anecdote about Terry Griffiths and his glasses was gold. I'm too young to remember Terry as a player, but I recognise his legacy and his place in the world of snooker. As always, thanks for the podcast, all the best, and Merry Christmas, Sean. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Sean. It's been a couple of weeks now since Terry Griffiths passed away. It was the evening of the UK Championship final.
Yeah.
Big loss, actually. I've got to say, Terry was slightly before my time as well. But I saw him play, obviously, in the later stages of his career. And I have seen highlights of some of the matches. But I'd always, for me, as someone, I've just turned 40, Terry was always a recognisable figure. But I don't think enough was made of what he actually achieved in the game.
Yeah.
And I think
really,
maybe
really
because
sad,
of Steve
really
Davis
sad
in
news.
so many.
Really sad news about Terry, and a sad year for snooker losses as well, especially Welsh snooker. But
Yes.
going back to Terry, it's such a nice guy. I mean, I didn't know greatly or anything on a personal level. I've seen him once or twice. And one of my great memories of Terry actually was a long time ago, probably about 20 years ago. I went to Preston to watch the World Championship qualifiers, and it was at the time when I think Terry was coaching Anthony Hamilton, so he was sitting watching his match, and it was final qualifying round to get to the Crucible. Anthony against Rob Lawler. So it wasn't pretty and it wasn't quick.
Oh my God.
You can imagine the kind of snooker we were sat watching.
Surprised it's still not going on now.
Yeah. And so the final section of it was the evening, and we wanted to go for a couple of drinks because it was the final night. We were going out the next morning, and we said, well, this match is going to go on forever. Shall we go and have a drink and then come back? And we came back, and it was still going on. It was about midnight. So we sat down and watched the rest of the match. Last match on, all the other games had finished.
Of course.
And there was three of us. There was me, Chris, who I was with, and Terry Griffiths. The three of us watching this match till the bitter end. 1:30 in the morning, around 2:30. And I think you had to be maybe a bit nice to watch that to its conclusion. But Terry never moved at all. He was there all night watching Anthony because he was coaching at the time. And he never missed a ball. Incredible, really. But he was just a snooker man through and through. He loved the game so much. And when he wasn't playing anymore, he really gave himself to the coaching side of it. And so many players are grateful for Terry's help over the years. And a much loved figure. And he'll never be forgotten. And a tremendous hard match player in his day as well. You know, he didn't just win the world title. He won the Masters. He won the UK Championship. Numerous other finals and other wins. Tremendous player. And, I think Ray Reid and Mark Williams will go down as probably the greatest of Welsh snooker, but Terry is up there as well. And yeah, I've got a lot of fondness for Terry, and I just think he was such a snooker man, and that's what I like about him. He just loved the game so much passion, and yeah, what a guy.
So it was maybe a month or two ago, Rob Francis, friend of the podcast, sent an email into the Snooker Scene podcast with some snooker Shakespeare puns. And I'm going to say, Rob, some of them are good, some of them were not as good as the good ones. But I sent in an email as well, and I don't know if it went. I wouldn't be surprised, because my puns are so bad, it probably went straight to Dave Hendon's trash folder, because they are that bad. But I'm going to share them now. But while I find them on my phone, I thought this would be a good time to share them. And you don't have to be kind if you think they're bad, but maybe I'll get some feedback one way or the other. Let's have a look. Here we go. And I did 10. The first one, Julius Caesar. The Temperest. Antony and Cleopatra. It's not bad. Dinglia. Othello. This one's a bit of a stretch. Quinton Hanlet. Henry IV. The next one I'm a little bit torn on. It was the Merchant of Venice or the Mertens of Venice. I'm not too sure about that one. Maybe the Merchant of Venice is better. The Perry Wives of Windsor and Titus and Ronicus. I thought that was pretty good. So, yeah, if anyone has any thoughts on those, please let me know. If you want to criticise them, I'll take feedback, good or bad. You
Don't give up the day job.
I won't. Some of them, yeah, trash might be a good word. You have been working on the 15 Reds podcast. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, it was just something my friend Scott, who started that podcast during lockdown with a couple of other friends. But as we came out of lockdown and everyone went back to normal life, that sort of stopped happening because the friends had, normal life and work to go back to, so there wasn't time. It had been something. I've been a guest on a few podcasts over the last few years, and one of my great loves is just talk about snooker, and I really love it. And so I was, friends with Scott, and I just said to him, "What do you think of reviving the 15-minute podcast? Us do it together once a week, just a half an hour or so chat." And he was up for it. So yeah, we're I think 7 or 8 episodes in now, a couple of months in, and we really enjoy it. We're not expecting, to go big or anything. It's just a couple of fans enjoy talking about our sport we love.
Where can people find us? I watch it on YouTube.
Oh, we're on, yes, so every time we do an episode, I share them to my Facebook and my Twitter. But yeah, we're in the 15 Red podcast, and we're actually under Scott's name on YouTube, so Scott MacArthur. If you put that into YouTube, they'll come up. But I always share them online when we're done. So yeah, give us a listen, guys.
Which events are you attending this season?
My next one is the Masters. I was at York recently for a few days, and I'll be at the first 4 days of the Masters, so really looking forward to that.
I'll see you there. So you'll be at the Ronnie John match?
Yes, actually, I was only booked for the Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, but when that match came out, and Ali Pally added some more seats, I thought, oh my God, Ronnie V. Higgins, I've got to be there for that. Because you don't know how many times you're going to get to see them play each other anymore. every time we play each other could be the last time. So when there was a chance of more seats going on sale, I thought, it's a no-brainer. I've got to be there.
You have to. Yeah. No, I'll be there on that day, so I'll see you there.
Oh, brilliant! So
I am there. I'm there on the Wednesday as well, actually. But we don't know. Wait, do we know who's playing then?
I think Wednesday afternoon is Kyron and against Shangander.
Okay.
And Wednesday night is Luca against Chris Wakely.
Oh, Luca Purcell. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's some good matches. That's some good. Oh, and it's Gary Wilson, Sean Murphy is the other match on
Sunday night.
The Sunday. Yeah. Oh, that would be good as well. Because Gary's not had a great season. Sean's kind of fallen away a little.
Gary will be wanting to improve. He's one of the players, actually, I think, would benefit from a bit of match practice if he gets a chance to be in the Championship League for the Masters. Because he needs to kickstart his season. Surely he can't. He probably isn't in there for the place. Certainly Hong Kong.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either way, he'll want something to get the season going. You never know. I mean, all he has to do is beat Murphy at the Masters and good performance, and it looks like he's on track again. But he's never too complimentary about his own game at the best of times. So hopefully he can pick up a bit, because there's a mighty fine player in there when he's on his game.
He's good, and he's a competitor as well. He is. You said scrape. You have to scrape him off the table. I've seen him play on 5, 6, 7 snookers required.
Yeah,
he doesn't give up unless it's truly lost cause.
It was it the Scottish last year when he beat Zhao Yulong in the semis? Zhao had celebrated and
that probably just annoyed Gary.
Oh yeah,
celebrate too early.
Yeah, enough players should have learned that lesson by now.
Yeah, especially against someone like Gary Wilson. And I've said this, I meant it as a compliment when I said it. I called him a belligerent competitor. And I mean that in the way it's meant, a good way. We should have belligerent competitors, people who want to win and are annoyed when they don't. This is good. It's good. This is competitive. I like it. I'm heading to the Masters. I've got a ticket for Berlin. It's just a 45-minute flight down from here. I found a cheap flight. Copenhagen. Going to the Crucible. I will be in Hong Kong for when the final of the Grand Prix is happening. But the tickets aren't available yet, and I'm keeping an eye on it every day. Yeah. Because if I'm there, I'm going to that event.
Oh, absolutely.
So that would be, if I can get a ticket for that, would be fantastic. And
I'll also be at the first part of the Welsh Open, the first few days of that. So that's always one to look forward to in February.
Some good snooker coming up. Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting excited to think about it. Right. Let's wrap this up. We've taken enough of people's time here. So we're recording this on a Wednesday night. The Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters, is that what it's called? I don't even know. I just consider it an exhibition, but that's underway. I won't be recording a review of that because I consider it a glorified exhibition. But this will be the last episode of the year, apart from an interview I did with John Hunter, the head of Q-Stars, about how snooker can attract youngsters to the sport, help them hone their skills, guide them through the junior game, and hopefully to the Pro Tour. That episode will probably come out after Christmas. I've already spoken to John. When I'm at the Masters, I'll record a live episode chatting with snooker fans, maybe even Kelly herself, when she's there, about the experience at Alexandra Palace. Kelly, would you like to see us out for the episode?
Yes. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you've made it this far. But Merry Christmas, and we'll see you on the other side.
Merry Christmas, everybody.